Hey, Chatter Crew, welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, welcome. Your presence is very much appreciated. So, tonight, your favorite chatter is back. I'm back. I'm here to share my recap and my review of tonight's Big Brother premiere. By the time I upload this, it'll be the next day, so technically, it'll be last night's premiere. But nevertheless, I have thoughts, I have observations, and I think I already have a fave. Yeah. So we'll talk about that a little later. So for those of you that are new to the channel, hi, I'm Elle Woods. No, no, my name is Danielle, and this is Chatter Out Loud. I chat about feeds, fights, and feel good flicks. There's not a mute button over here when I am commenting or giving commentary on Big Brother, right? I express how I feel. And there are times I might go on a rant or don't hold back, but that's what we love as Brother fans, right? Um, if you don't know, my favorite TV watches are Big Brother, right? And Hallmark movies and mysteries, right? So that's what you'll find all over my channel. And I invite you to check out other stuff that's on my channel that's posted so far. Right now, we're in the season of Big Brother. I plan to do recaps all season long. I plan to include sprinkles of the live feed and give commentary there. You don't always get all the information in the television edits, so I plan on bringing some thoughts that are, some thoughts and observations that I get from the live feeds. So I hope you'll enjoy that this season. So already this season is bringing mystery, strategy, and potential showmances. But first, before we jump in, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment with your thoughts and your observations on the house guests, the strategies that's being played, the alliances that are forming, and all of that comes with the world of Big Brother fandom. I'm here for it. I'm all about it. So let's get into it. All right, so it's official. Big Brother 27 has checked us into Hotel Mystere, where mystery lurks around every corner. Julie said we've got 112 cameras. I'm saying we, like I'm part of the crew. There's 112 cameras. There's 113 microphones and 3 months of gameplay ahead. They are keeping the classic schedule, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, with Thursdays being eviction night. Tonight's premiere was 90 minutes long, and there were a few first impressions that were pretty strong. We're working with a fresh cast of 16 house guests, which is what I usually prefer if it's not an all star season, right? But as we did see, Rachel Riley has entered the chat, right? She is the mystery house guest that were, CBS gave clues all over their social media feed on who this mystery house guest could be. And there were a few people who guessed correctly. And so Rachel Riley will be a guest this season. So whether her presence shakes up alliances or is just nostalgic fun, time will tell. All right, meeting the house guests. I like how they do the intros every year where they find the key and they're screaming, "Oh my God, yeah, you're going to Big Brother!" And it's this whole thing, and it's pretty cool, right? The house guests entered into the home in groups of four. They had the first eight, four entered at a time, then the last eight, and then four entered at a time. The one observation I did make was that there was no luggage. And I can't remember if that has happened in the last couple of seasons. They're just standing there, they enter the home. It's like that pop up escape room vibe, like the door is there and you're ready, you and your team are ready to walk in, you're lined up against the wall. That's what I was getting at. I was getting that kind of energy, but there was no luggage, right? So that was an observation, no big deal. There was even a countdown clock that was subtly tucked behind the beam inside the house, which also gave the escape room vibe. Right. All right. So I want to talk about a few early standouts. Actually, before I talk about that, there were quite a few house guests this season that are claiming that they are athletic. So my expectation is that we are going to see really good physical competitions this year. I mean, people are physically fit. They're claiming they're athletic and played in Division 1 athletics, whether it's baseball or track or whatever. But there are quite a few people who said they are athletes. We have a cheerleader, so I'm expecting to see very good physical competitions this year. So I'm looking forward to that. All right, so a few standouts in terms of the house guests. We have Zach. He's from Georgia. He's says he's an athlete. He has this nice skincare routine. He's very nice looking. He has a strong faith, and we can tell that he's already competitive and very alert in the game. Right. Then we have Ashley. Ashley is the New York City attorney, which describes herself as the Black Elle Woods. Right. Now, Elle Woods is the main character in Legally Blonde. So I didn't sense any Elle Woods energy with Ashley, but it's still early. It's episode 1. She potentially could give, that she has strategy and sharp wit. That remains to be seen, especially based on how she did on that competition with the puzzle. But, she says she's the Black Elwood. So I'm looking for that when the live feeds return. Okay, next is Adrian. He's the carpenter and the label king. Planning and preparation, we can tell that's his love language. I mean, this man built, or his family helped him build, a platform in his backyard, which is like a version of the wall competition in Big Brother. So he had that, he was hanging on, and then the family member was spraying him in the face with the hose. That did make me chuckle, but it just showed his commitment to being prepared to play in these competitions. Um, I thought when I did see that, and then later on seeing how Adrian was performing in the game, he came in twice in 2 of the competitions played tonight, and just how he was interacting with the house guests. I am interested to see if Adrian will even make it to that competition, right? Because I think he is potentially a target, and he won't make it past jury. But we'll see, right? When the live feeds come on, we'll see how he's managing in the house and how he strategizes and talks to the other house guests. Morgan was the gamer. She's a model from LA. She considers herself, or describes herself, as nerdy and also athletic. She's one of the first few house guests that admittedly threw the competition tonight. So we'll have to watch her. Kelly is the young lady that comes from a town of 50 people. She's the pilot, the web designer, from South Dakota. I find her to be very observant, and she seemed like she's quietly calculating. And it wouldn't surprise me if she is the accomplice. That's not my guess 100%, but I wouldn't be surprised if she was the accomplice, the mastermind's accomplice. Oh, and we'll talk about that a little later. Riley and Will. Now, when the house guests were entering the home, Will was in the last group that entered the home, and Riley was greeting each of the guests when they came in. When he greeted Will, it was something about their handshake that gave romance energy, right? So I have my eye on the two of them in terms of them being in an alliance, and I am going to be looking for that. So that's going to be more to come there. Also, there's a possible first showmance alert. Mickey was walking around wearing Riley's hat. They appeared to be attracted to one another. It's too soon to call it, as a showmance, but I'll be watching for it to see what happens. All right, let's quickly go into the competitions and the strategy. They kicked off with 3 solid competitions. I liked all 3 of the competitions. Um, the competitions stemmed from Julie's kidnapping. All right. Well, the first competition had two parts, and it stemmed from Julie being kidnapped, and then the mastermind. We were introduced to him, and he emerged as like pulling strings in the house and disrupting the home. And he had Julie kidnapped, right? She disappeared, and he also excuse me, stole the HOH relic. So the two competitions were around the first one finding Julie, and the second one finding the HOH relic. The first one was called Observation Puzzle. Zach won that. And he found Julie. He opened the door and Julie hugged him and stuff. And it was just so interesting because Julie was all into it. She played her part. It was like she was so prepared. Because usually we just see Julie walking around being the host, right, on the stage. But first, and expect the unexpected. But she was all into character. And it was just nice to see. It was fun. So I enjoyed that. Um, Riley and Mickey up front said, I'm throwing the competition. I don't want to be the first one to win, all that stuff. A lot of house guests did that this evening. And I don't always get, throwing competitions, but like you play to win. But what do I know? I've never been a Big Brother uh, contestant. I'm just a hardcore fan. All right. Oh, I wanted to also mention that Zach won. Yeah, I did say Zach won the observation puzzle. That was the first part of the competition, and he won $10,000. That came with a prize of $10,000. Will that paint a target on Zach's back? I think yes, and so it's going to come back to haunt him for sure. But at least he'll leave the home with 10K, right? $10,000 richer. The second part of the competition was the memory challenge, and that was to find the HOH relic. Um, if you didn't guess the correct relic, like the house guests were trying to find the right combination of the stones and the shape of the keys, and if you guessed incorrectly, you just dropped through the floor, so it was like a free fall. So that was pretty interesting to see how alarming that was for some people. They're like, "Oh my gosh!" and he just was preparing themselves just to fall because they got it wrong. Um, but Jimmy pulled a win, and he earned the power to choose four house guests to compete in the HOH competition. So that was kind of the twist tonight in terms of the HOH competition. Not everybody's competing. So, as a result of Jimmy winning the second part of that challenge, he picked four people. He picked himself, Adrian, Ashley, and Vince, all of whom promised him safety, which I thought was a smart move. And see, this is where I wish we had the live feeds because we can see all of the negotiation that went with it, right? It was edited that all of them promised him safety. But I mean, was that a smart move or was he being set up for betrayal? We don't get that yet until we actually see how the house guests are interacting on the live feeds. So I'll be looking for that. And then the third competition was the HOH battle. It was called Destroy the Layer. They had the balance weights on three beams, and then did the BB blaster where the weights had to hold steady for 10 seconds. Vince walked away with that competition. Adrian came into a close second. Now, Adrian came into a close second with the HOH battle and then the observation puzzle, right? So that just proves like he is so prepared and ready to play, and he is just very visible in this game. And so for that, I think he's gonna be a target. That's what I think. But Vince walked away with the first HOH, and Vince is the guy with the mustache, right? And he's in his mid 30s and lived with his parents. What I find funny is, and I don't think him living with his parents is funny. What I find funny is that Vince thinks he is funny, right? With some of the comments he's made in the interviews, he really thinks he's like a funny person, and it's not coming across as funny, which makes it funny, right? So I can't wait to see, how they edit him throughout the remainder of the season. And I definitely want to see how he interacts with people on the live feed, right? Because I don't know if he can sustain this the whole season. I mean, it's gonna be exhausting. All right, strategy talk and early observations. A lot of house guests were throwing competitions, and I'm like, throwing competitions already? I mean, what? Riley, Mickey, Morgan, all of them were like, no, I don't want to win. They're hiding their game, or they could be making moves really early, right? That could be part of their strategy. We will have to see once the live feeds return to see their thought process behind that. Um, Other house guests like Zach, Keanu, and Vince, they're in the game and they're there to play, right? And Jimmy, I want to throw Jimmy in there, but well, I didn't throw Jimmy in. No, I don't want to throw Jimmy in there. Zach, Keanu, and Vince, they're playing the game. I think they're all playing hard. Whereas Jimmy, I find authenticity with Jimmy, right? He's there to play and enjoy the experience. And that's one of the reasons why I really like Jimmy. He potentially could be my favorite this year. Um, but Zach, Keanu, and Keanu especially, he's probably he likes to inject himself. He's so eager. But between Zach's win, Vince's win, and then Keanu always eager to inject himself, and Adrian playing hard as well. I think those are the front runners in terms of who could potentially be targets. I mean, we know Vince can't be targeted or voted out this week because he's the HOH. However, there's a week 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. All right, talking about Julie's disappearance and the mastermind's appearance, right? The mastermind kidnapped Julie, stole the HOH relic. It was dramatic, but it kind of pushed players into alliance formation. When Julie, before she was kidnapped, when she called all the house guests to the living room, I found it interesting where you could see how the house guests were grouped and in different places. It was very subtle, but very telling in terms of who was clicking with whom in that moment. We also learned that one of the house guests is the mastermind's accomplice, right? Because they revealed that that person helped him kidnap Julie and steal the relic, right? They turned off the lights, so on and so forth. So the house guests have a few thoughts towards the end of the episode, express who they thought could potentially be the accomplice. And the twist that comes with that, if the house guesses the right person, right, they name the right person as the accomplice, that person is evicted from the game. So stakes are high with the accomplice, and I can't wait to see that unfold. That's pretty cool. All right. Yeah, so those are my thoughts, my initial thoughts on the game. What did you think of the premiere? I thought it was fun, layered. It left us with a lot to watch for and look forward to in the live feeds, which, by the way, the live feeds return after Sunday night's episode. And trust me, if you want real context, um, and want to know how the house guests are moving in the game and strategy and alliance formation and all those things, the live feeds are where the story breathes. That's where the story lives. So if you have the opportunity to stream the live feeds, I encourage you to do it. Now, I'll be here all season long decoding the game, the dynamics of the house. I'll give a commentary on the live feeds, on the episodes. So if you don't have access to the live feeds, I'll be able to share some of that here this season. So I hope you join me for that. My intention this season is I'm going to be intentional, right? Because sometimes I can go on rants, especially if the house guests are not pleasant. But my intention is to focus and call out gameplay and strategy and not necessarily call out or shade the players. You know what I mean? But, and however, if the player or players show their ass, which is bound to happen, it happens every season, that just grants me permission to call them out. So it's going to happen. All right, so if you're hyped about Big Brother 27 and you want to hear another perspective on the game, hit that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, and hit the notification bell for future uploads. Oh, yeah, and leave me a comment below. Let me know who you think the mastermind's accomplice is. Let me know who's already playing too hard or too fast. Do you have a fave? I think I'm liking Jimmy. I also think I like Mickey. I love her locks, by the way, but I like Mickey because I think she has the potential to bring a really good social game. So I'm going to see how that unfolds for her. And I also think that Zach, Adrian, and Keanu are in jeopardy already. All right. So I'll catch you all after the Sunday night episode and probably an hour or two of me watching the live feeds. Um, yeah. So, all right. My name is Danielle. You're listening to Chatter Out Loud. Thank you so much for joining me. And as always, I appreciate your support. And that's all I have. Thanks again for listening, and I'll talk to you next time.